Green light for an armistice. Israeli cabinet approves ceasefire deal with Hezbollah.
Experts say far-right extremist and fringe candidate Calin Georgescu used a sophisticated social media campaign to win the first round of Romanian presidential elections.
The cabinet of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has approved an Israeli-Hezbollah ceasefire deal after he had recommended it.
משך הפסקת האש תלוי במה שהתרחש בלבנון. בהבנה מלאה עם ארצות הברית, אנחנו שומרים על חופש פעולה צבאי מלא. אם חיזבאללה יפר את ההסכם וינסה להתחמש, אנחנו נתקוף. אם הוא ינסה לחדש תשתיות טרור בסמוך לגבול, אנחנו נתקוף.
The deal aims to achieve a 60-day cessation of hostilities in Lebanon. It was not immediately clear when it would go into effect, and its exact terms were not released. The deal does not affect Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza, which shows no signs of ending.
Russia launched almost 200 drones towards 17 regions in Ukraine in an overnight blitz, marking the record number of drones fired by Russia in a single attack. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that while most of the drones were shot down, the shelling damaged apartment buildings and critical infrastructure such as a national power grid.
Майже 200 російських дронів проти України за добу – це майже 200 доказів, що російські бажання вкрай далекі від будь-яких ідей про справжній мир.
In many regions, efforts are still underway to address the aftermath of the drone strikes. Zelensky also said a rescue operation was underway in the Sumy region after an attack on an auto repair shop killed 2 people. Meanwhile, in a rare official acknowledgement, Moscow said that long-range missiles launched by Ukraine damaged infrastructure and injured several servicemen in Russia's Kursk region. Speaker of the Russian State Duma, Vyacheslav Volodin, urged the West to refrain from escalating tensions as it could ultimately harm the citizens of Europe.
Надо прекращать создание напряжения и скатывание в пропасть, что происходит из-за действий и решений Байдена, Макрона, Шольца и им подобных.
Volodin also said that the new Oreshnik ballistic missile was necessary to protect Russian citizens.
Romania is reeling from the unexpected rise of far-right extremist Calin Georgescu, who won Sunday's first round of the presidential elections as an independent. His come-up went unnoticed by the political system, with his victory representing the first time a fringe candidate won a national election solely through a sophisticated media campaign. Georgescu rode a wave of public discontentment with the political establishment, combined with an intensive, years-long social media assault filled with anti-Western rhetoric.
He is selling an utopic story. He is selling a dream for conservative Romanians as an opposite to the classical politicians that are very transactional. We have now a TikTok messiah or something like that, very successful, and we are not sure if he will be able to win in the second round.
Georgescu captured the protest vote against the mainstream political parties and their economic performance, using a well-oiled social media machine propagating extreme nationalist and pro-Russian messages to devout followers.
Chestiune foarte importante este ideea aceasta de viralizare, de propagare și de folosirea hashtag-urilor pentru asta, care presupune cumva niște efective de oameni, de data asta nu mai vorbesc de boți și de algoritmi, care sunt cumva extrem de activați, ca să spunem așa. Și discursul pseudomesianic al lui Calin Georgescu, cu modul în care s-a prezentat, a făcut să câștige mai degrabă adepți decât cum avem poate în alte părți susținători raționali.
Bordering Ukraine and on NATO's eastern flank, Georgescu's statements have all the hallmarks of a hybrid war against the West, following the same narrative which can be seen in other European countries.
Germany, the Netherlands and Austria, the usual champions of austerity in the EU, are now being targeted by the European Commission for their high spending. A change that has not gone unnoticed by Economy Commissioner Paola Gentiloni.
Yes, there are some rigid rules, but honestly, I'm not the one that wanted them. So if there are strict rules, in several cases, these strict rules were asked by, I'm not addressing my finger to anyone, but someone asked for these stricter rules.
Brussels believes Germany's budget plan is not entirely in line with expenditure ceilings. An opposition MEP points to the country's current situation as one of the causes.
Now we see that we have problems in innovation, that we have problems with investments, and that's the reason why Germany goes into an economic crisis.
But while some are being singled out, those traditionally in the spotlight, such as southern European countries, are now on the opposite side. Although France, with a deficit double that allowed by the EU, has presented a plan that is too austere, says a Social Democrat MEP.
C'est une véritable politique d'austérité qui est proposée par la France, va entacher la croissance de la France, mais donc aussi celle de l'Union européenne. Donc je ne pense pas, en effet, la France ne fait pas les bons choix.
After a pause due to the pandemic, this is the first time that the fiscal rules have been reactivated after being reformed.
Former German Chancellor Angela Merkel has written her political memoirs. For many, it is the book of the year. The 16 years of her chancellorship were characterized by stability. But in view of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, critics accuse her of Germany's dependence on Russian gas and a lack of innovation. Publicist Ursula Weidenfeld has written a biography of Angela Merkel in 2021. Euronews spoke to her about the former chancellor.
Und was Russland angeht, da kam die Krise ja erst jetzt. Ich glaube, das muss man auch sehen. Angela Merkels Politikprinzip war eben, ich handle dann, wenn ich handeln kann und nicht, wenn ich handeln will.
Merkel was a pragmatic chancellor, Weidenfeld explains. Her calm manner sets her apart from the CDU's current candidate for chancellor, Friedrich Merz, who is considered impulsive.
Also der hat schon ein paar Eigenschaften, die man haben muss, um Kanzlerkandidat und dann auch Kanzler zu werden. Man muss es unbedingt wollen. Man muss sich gegen andere durchsetzen. Und das hat Friedrich Merz nun wirklich bis zur Grenze der Selbstaufgabe versucht.
The workplace culture may return to its more patriarchal state if Merz wins the February elections.
Es gibt auch wieder vielleicht eine ganz andere Rolle von Rollenverteilung von Männern und Frauen in der Politik. Ich finde schon, dass man sieht, dass so ein bisschen nicht nur in Deutschland, aber auch in Europa und in der Welt so ein bisschen der Trend wieder gegen Frauen oder die Frauen in Spitzenpositionen läuft. Und möglicherweise ist das eben auch was in Deutschland passieren wird.
Angela Merkel war nicht innovativ. Sie richtete sich nach den Wünschen ihrer Wähler. Wachstum, Wohlstand und keine Veränderungen, das sind Wünsche, die auch heute noch aktuell sind, angesichts der Krisen und Umbrüche. Vielleicht wird die CDU diese altbewährte Erfolgsformel ja bei ihrem Wahlkampf anwenden. Diana Resnick aus Berlin für Euronews.
With just under 5 months to go, preparations are well underway for the Osaka World Expo 2025. Delegates from around the world met in Paris on Tuesday to discuss the latest developments and find solutions to the different challenges encountered. The World Expo is one of the oldest and largest international events.
大阪・関西万博がやってきます。テーマは命輝く未来社会のデザイン。
More than 160 countries will present their latest innovations next year in Japan. But with only around 7.3 million tickets sold as of November, Japanese authorities hope to bolster their communication strategy to attract more European visitors.
それぞれ国や考え方、価値観は違いますけれども、この命輝く未来社会のデザインのための解決策をここで示すということになります。おそらくグリーンエネルギーであったり、その気候変動であったり、そういったこと、さまざまな課題解決の出展がヨーロッパからも多くあると思いますけれども、ぜひヨーロッパの国々の皆さんとも共有したい、そしてまたぜひヨーロッパの皆さんにですね、この大阪で日本で万博があるんだということを広めていただけたらと思います。それが広がってないのが課題の一つでもあります。
The governor of Osaka announced Ukraine will be participating in next year's Expo despite Russia's full-scale invasion. Moscow withdrew from the event last year. Organizers hope the World Expo will bring unity at a time of global instability and conflict.
Expos are an apolitical gathering of countries, and it's also a non-confrontational gathering of countries. It's a possibility for the world to come together, to try and talk together, and to have a dialogue. And I think that one of the things we notice, especially in the last few years, in the different geopolitical context that we have and the problems that have been arising all over the world, is that we need a place for dialogue. We need somewhere where the world can come together and where, for once, perhaps we don't let our differences separate us, but we let our differences bring us together.
The Osaka World Expo will take place from April to October next year and aims to welcome an estimated 28 million visitors.